Hello, and welcome to episode 110 of 10,000 Stitches podcast, a podcast all about the joys of knitting. And this is my very first podcast from our new house. I know it's also been quite a while since I recorded in general, and that was just because of the craziness that this summer had. So I'll talk more about it in the chit chat, but yeah, we moved. We've been in our new house for 2 weeks now. And this is not going to be my final sort of recording spot in the house. This is our master bedroom, so it probably doesn't actually look that much different than the last time I recorded because we obviously have the same furniture. But I'm aware that the lighting is a bit uneven in this room, so we have 3 windows in this room. We have blinds on these 2, but there's one over there that has no blinds on it, and that's where the sun's coming in, so that's why the lighting is uneven. So eventually I will move into a different room, and I'll talk more about that in chit chat, but for now, this is what we have, and I figured I should just sit down and record and, get some stuff out there. So we'll talk about what I've been up to over the past couple months, I guess, couple weeks, however long it's been, which is not a ton, but I do have a little bit to catch you guys up on, so that's exciting. So let's jump into it. If you were looking for me anywhere on the interwebs, by the way, you can find me on Instagram, Twitter, and Ravelry as Purlbug, Purlbug, and you can find my blog at thepurlbug.com. And then we have the 10,000 Stitches podcast group on Ravelry. Everything will be linked below the video, wherever it is that you're watching. I will note that I haven't been very active on social media lately, although that might change. I might get back into it, but I was taking a little bit of a break from like Instagram and stuff. So yeah, we'll see. Sorry if you heard that. Wesley is doing other stuff elsewhere right now. So if you hear like doors opening and closing, that's him doing stuff. So yeah, but let's talk knitting. So I have a finished object to show you guys, which is a very old finished object. I've actually posted about it on Instagram a while ago, but that is the sweater that I was working on the last time I recorded, which is my modified top-down lightweight raglan pullover. The lightweight raglan pullover pattern is a pattern by Pearl Soho, and it's originally written to be bottom up. I've knit it in the bottom up format, which I've talked about before, and so this one was a top down version, and so this is what it looks like. This was knit in my hand-dyed yarn, which is on the Knit Picks Felici base, which is a 75-25 superwash merino nylon blend, sock white yarn. And I knit it on US 2.5s, which are 3mm needles. And I knit according to the stitch count for the size 36, I believe. I've talked about this before. Like, basically all it takes to transform this pattern from bottom up to top down is just kind of getting the initial sort of short row shaping at the neck done. And then it's basically like any other top down raglan pullover. So I mostly was just using their pattern to get the stitch counts right, because I have found that the stitch counts for this size on these needles with this yarn is like the perfect stitch counts for me. So it fits around the shoulders, around the arms, around the chest. So everything about this I really like. So this has sort of become my template for, a pullover sweater in fingering weight yarn. I'm not going to put it on now because it's obviously warm. I will put in a picture that I posted on Instagram of me wearing this. I wore it to work one day. And I haven't really worn it since. I put it on another day to wear, and I realized that sort of a problem that I have with this is a problem that I have with crew neck sweaters and shirts in general, which is that I'm just not a fan of crew necks. Like, they're nice because they're easy to knit, but in general, I don't tend to like things sort of touching right up here along me. And this one especially seems to, like, I did short row shaping, but it's still sort of like wants to sit sort of right up on that like clavicle ridge, and I really dislike that. Like, it makes me feel like I'm sort of like being choked, all day, which is weird because like I can wear turtlenecks. Like, for some reason, if I have a turtleneck on, that doesn't bother me, but having something like this where sort of the neckband edge sits right there, I don't really like. So I'm going to hang on to this. I think it'll be something nice. I think I'll probably wear it more in the winter because it's, it's nice and warm and cozy and I can throw it on around the house. But like for right now, when it's like I only basically wear sweaters to work, I'm just not really reaching for it. But that's a valuable lesson to learn, and I am glad that I made it. And yeah, I'm glad that it's done. This used, I think, 330 grams worth of yarn, which is kind of really annoying. Like I was really hoping that I could make, you know, a long sleeve, full length sweater with only 3 skeins of fingering weight yarn. And so like that extra 30 grams just like really grinds my gears, because it's like, you know, 30 grams is like, man, like you're still gonna have a lot of a skein left over after that. And it's just, it's kind of really annoying to me. But otherwise, yeah, I'm pretty happy with this. Yes. So that's that. Yeah, that's a finished object. So that's pretty cool. So then after I finished that, the next sweater I started is actually a shifty. So this is a pattern by Andrea Mowry. There we go. Andrea Mowry. Why was I having such a hard time with that? So this is the shifty sweater, which is another sort of top down. This one's a circular yoke sweater that is knit entirely in the round. And this one is done with mosaic colorwork, which I've done mosaic colorwork before, not a ton, but I have done it enough that I wasn't like super afraid of this one. But this one is a little bit on hold right now because I'm just not quite sure what to do with it. So this is where I am on it. So I've divided for the sleeves, and I actually tried it on. Like I divided for the sleeves and I tried it on, and it's fitting great. So this one is another one that I'm knitting on US 2.5, which are 3mm needles, and I forget which size it is that I'm knitting. Maybe the 2, I forget exactly. I'll try and put it on the screen somewhere. But yeah, so this one, I'm liking it, and like I'm sort of trying to knit it as sort of like an ugly sweater because I had 4 sort of single skeins that I was like, I don't know what to do with these, but they kind of go together in sort of like a color palette that's very autumnal. So it's like, you know what, like I am going to abandon sort of the color like order that she has, because basically in the pattern there's one background color and then you go through 3 sort of contrasting colors to do what she calls these blips. So like here is a good example. So like the blue is the background color, and then you have the orange is like the blips. So you have like what she calls big blips and little blips. And you sort of like, that makes sort of like one chart repeat. So you have big blips, little blips, big blips, little blips. So I decided that every sort of repeat of the big blip, little blip, like I'm kind of using that as like a big repeat, I was going to change up the background color and the blip color. And the way that I'm doing it is such that like whatever the blip color was previously, that becomes the new main color. And so I'm kind of knitting it, it's this sort of like ugly sweater sort of look, because that's just kind of what I wanted to do with it. And so the 4 colors that I'm using are this sort of indigo. These are all my hand-dyed yarns. So there's this indigo, this sort of mauve color, this sort of tan color, and then this sparkly orange. This was like a Knit Picks Stroll Sparkle. I think the rest of these are all on the Felici base. But yeah, I like the colors together. I feel like you know, as you can kind of see, like they really kind of go together. And like I said, it's sort of this like autumnal sort of feeling. And I like the fabric that it's creating. I like the way it fits, but I just, for whatever reason, was having like a really hard time with this. I think it's because it's sort of, it's the mosaic color work, again, is not hard, but the way that she does it is she has you like doing a lot of like, it's sort of like garter mosaic color work, which requires a lot of like bringing the yarn to the front. So it's like slip 1, bring the yarn to the front and purl 1, slip 1, bring the yarn to the front and purl 1. So it's like it's almost like I'm doing 1 by 1 rib. And that was just like getting exhausting for me. So I kind of put this on hold. I'll probably pick it up again once I finish my current sweater project that I cast on after I put this on hold, because I do want this and I want to use up the yarn, but I just, especially with kind of like the moving and all of that kind of stuff, it was like my brain just couldn't handle this. Plus you have like 4 yarn like balls that I'm juggling, and like I always have 2 attached to this. So I was like, it was too much. I love the pattern. I think it'll be great once it's finished, but I just like, I had to put it on hold because I was like, nope, just too much. I haven't really made any modifications to this other than changing the needle size, again, just to like get the right gauge and everything. The only modification I did make was I think she wants you to do a tubular cast on. I didn't do a tubular cast on. I might do tubular by Nuffs, we'll see. But in the pattern, she has you doing stranded color work to sort of do the blip pattern along the short row shaping for the neck, which I decided like, you know what, me and stranded color work are not friends. Again, it was kind of like, I didn't have time for the stress of it, and so I just decided, like, you know what, I'm just gonna do it plain. And I don't think it looks bad. Like, I think it looks fine. It's not like it's that big of a band of sort of like blank blue, so it's fine. So yeah, this is on hold. You'll probably see more of this in the future because picking it up again, I'm like, oh man, I want to knit this again. Like, I really love the really squishy fabric that the sort of stitch pattern creates, but yeah, it'll probably get picked back up once I'm done with my current project. So that's The Shifty by Andrea Mowry. Would recommend, but yeah, definitely it's a lot of people in their project pages said like, oh my gosh, it went so fast. And it's like, I sort of get that because it is sort of a popcorny stitch pattern, but at the same time, it's like I said, like it's almost like you're doing like one by one ribbing for a lot of it. So it's like, it's popcorny, but it is like pretty labor intensive, especially because you're knitting it on fingering weight yarn. So it's like, you know, you have 200 some stitches that you're doing this over. And so it's just kind of like, so it's just kind of exhausting. The Wesley has come back in. So yeah, so that's that. Would recommend, but with an asterisk. So then let's talk a little bit about my current sort of sweater project. I have a sock project that's going on right now, but it's sort of, I pick it up every so often and it's like, it's just another short sock. So like, I'm not going to show that because it's not that exciting, but yeah. So then after I put the Shifty on hold, I was like, you know what? I need something a little bit more brainless. And so I was going to cast on another one of these guys. And I did actually, and I figured out how to do the short rows properly on the back of the neck. But then again, I tried this one on to wear to work one day and I was kind of like, you know what? I'm not loving the crew neck. So I wound up ripping out the new one and starting over. But because I finished those short rows, I actually did post them on the project page for this sweater, and I'm just going to leave them there for posterity for anyone who wants them. So I will make sure to link to that project page if you want to know. And again, this is sort of specific to the size that I was knitting, but if you kind of want to know how to do the short rows, to do this one top down, those will be there. But so then after I sort of thought about like, you know what, maybe I'm just not a crew neck person, I kind of decided like, let's try and make a V-neck sweater. I have never knit a V-neck sweater before. I mean, I've knit a V-neck cardigan before. This one is going to become a pullover. So it's like, well, you know, you kind of do the same as the cardigan and then you just join it and I'll have to figure out how to do the neckband when I get there. But I figure, you know, I'm a competent person. I can figure this out. But basically, I'm knitting it similar to this one. So I cast on a similar number of stitches. I just didn't cast on any sort of front stitches, and I'm doing the V-neck increases. But I'm kind of, you know, I divided for the sleeves at the same number of stitches as this one. So I'm kind of working off of that, and I'll just figure out the neckline when I get there. But yeah, so this one, I'm kind of on the last couple of rows before I join it back to work in the round. And what I'm doing with this one is, again, I'm trying to like use up some stash yarn because I haven't bought any new yarn in quite a while because buying a house is expensive and I'm trying to not spend money on yarn. So what I decided to do was like, I didn't have 3 and a bit skeins of any single color anymore. So I figured, okay, let's use up some sort of singles, and then I had 2 skeins that I can use for the main part. So the top part is sort of using up 2 single skeins. And so it's this yellow, which is, again, all of this is on that Felici base. So the yellow is one of my hand-dyed yarns. And then the blue, I'm sort of striping in because I only have 1 skein of the yellow. And like I said, I need 330-ish grams. So I was like, well, that's not going to be enough. So I actually am using up the rest of the ball that came from this sweater. So I was like, well, this will do, right? So this is kind of, you know, being used to try and accommodate for that other 30 grams or so that I need. So I did some stripes. So I did a section of yellow sort of, you know, just plain. And then I started doing some little 4-row stripes. I have sort of these stripes now. And then I did until I divided for the sleeves, and I did 1 stripe after dividing for the sleeves. And then I'm doing the rest yellow until I finish the V-neck increases. And then I'm going to switch to the main body color, which is going to be this super bright orange. So I think, you know, it's very summery, but it sort of works all together. Like it makes a cohesive color story. And I have 2 skeins of this. So this will be most of the body and the sleeves, and then we'll kind of see where we get, you know, by the end of it. But yeah, I wanted to do all of the V-neck increases still in the yellow because I'm going to do the collar in yellow. And I didn't really want to like start into the orange, but have like sort of the tip of like the collar the neck edging be yellow. I thought that would look weird. So I wanted to make sure I got all the way through the V-neck increases in the yellow. And I'm very close to being done. Like I think maybe I have 2 more increases to go before I join it to work in the round. So at least right now I can still show you guys kind of what it looks like. Not that it looks like much, but so yeah, so that's sort of where I am, and you can see we're almost to the join in the front. It's going to be a little bit lower V-neck than maybe I imagined. So I'm increasing for the neck increases every 4th row because I thought every other row would make it a little bit shallower than I wanted. If I were to do this again, I'd maybe do every like 3rd row, right? Because every 4th row is gonna make a pretty deep V-neck. Like I will definitely have to wear a tank top underneath it, which is fine. But yeah, like maybe I would maybe prefer it to sort of have the point be like right about here. So maybe every 3rd row I would try next time, and if that still is too low, then I would do every other row. But yeah, otherwise, like I said, I'm still following sort of like the stitch counts and stuff for the lightweight raglan pullover kind of thing. And yeah, and I'm just gonna knit it straight, no body shaping or anything. And then I still haven't quite decided if I want to do ribbing at the bottom or if I want to do sort of maybe like a folded hem at the bottom. I found that with this one, even though you do this sort of like welted hem at the bottom, like it still wants to kind of roll a little bit. So I think I'm either gonna do ribbing or I'm gonna do a folded hem at the bottom. I haven't quite decided yet what I want to do, but yeah, so that is the current state of the knitting. We have a trip actually coming up soon to go back to Minnesota, and I haven't quite decided if I want to try and bring the sweater because I think I can, well, I'll definitely be able to get it to the point where I'm knitting in the round then. And so like that might be good sort of travel knitting, like when I just am, doing the body. I don't know if I want to bring a sock, like I haven't quite decided yet, but my guess is that I'll probably bring the sweater because I will probably be excited to be, to like just the boring sort of knitting. And then, yeah, I'll work on that. So I'm going to go, Wesley he was washing my car, so he wants me to come take a look at how my car looks. So I'm going to go take a look at that, and then I'll be right back, and I will, catch you guys up a little bit on some life updates and like the moving stuff. So if you're not interested in that, this will probably be the end of the knitting sort of stuff. So thanks very much for hanging out with me today. Thanks for waiting around all summer while I got my act together. And I'll see you again hopefully very soon. Otherwise, hold on for just a second and then I'll be back and we'll talk about life in the new house. All right, so let's talk life stuff. So yeah, we're in the new house. This is very exciting. We moved in 2 weeks ago. So yeah, it's been a lot. Like it's been a lot of change, and it was just a lot of stress, like going through the whole home buying process, which like we both kind of knew it was going to be stressful. I don't remember how much I said about this before, so sorry if I'm repeating myself, but so the house we bought was new construction. Was new construction. But it was kind of different than the way that like most people buy a new construction house, where like most of the time, like, you buy one of these custom houses and you go in and you pick out everything about it and like all of that, and then they build what you wanted. So what we bought was actually called a spec house. So it was a house that was already under construction, that the builder was just building without a buyer, lined up for it, and they were just going to sell it like a normal house. So this development is actually close to where we were living before. Like we could walk from our old apartment to the house. And so, we'd kind of seen it and we kind of decided we really liked this particular floor plan and decided to buy the spec house. So basically we had no control over anything. By the time we came in as buyers, they'd already ordered the cabinets, they'd already ordered the flooring, like the floor plan was already, set. So we were more or less buying a brand new house kind of as is. Like we did get to pick, like we changed the backsplash in the kitchen. And I feel like there was like, maybe we changed the style of the interior doors, but like that was all we could change. Everything else was already fixed. I think we could have changed the paint color, but we were kind of like, well, whatever. So basically we got a brand new house, but we got to pick nothing about it. Which was actually okay because like with how stressful the home buying process was, I don't think I could have handled having to sit down and literally pick out every single thing about the house. Like, pick out the carpet and pick out, all of the, like how is the molding gonna look? Do we want this? Do we want that? Especially because there's a price associated with everything. So like, you know, we came in and the house, it was like, well, the house just costs what it costs because this is the stuff that's in it, which was a lot easier to swallow versus having to say like we have an irrigation system, right? That they said a lot of people pick to not put in an irrigation system because it's an extra $2,500. And I probably would have been one of those people. Like, I probably would have been like, we don't need to spend $2,500 on an irrigation system. But like, because it was there, it's like, well, we now just have it and we can choose to not use it. But like, we didn't have to make the decision of like, do we spend an extra $2,500 on an irrigation system? Or like the 3-car garage. So we really wanted a 3-car garage because Wesley wanted some space to set up his, workshop for woodworking and stuff. But the 3rd stall in the garage adds $14,000 to the cost of the house. And so like when you're faced with that decision of like, do you want to add $14,000 to the cost of this already expensive house? Like, it's hard to stomach that. But when it's already there, when it's already all there and it's like, this is just how much the house costs, that makes it so much easier. And I've read about this before too, that like, like they've compared people who do these sort of like prepaid, all expense included vacations versus people who have to pay for everything sort of like as you go. And the people who prepay for everything enjoy it so much more because it's like, well, you've already spent all the money. Like, you don't have to be like adding it all up as you go. Like, you're not constantly being like faced with this choice of like, do I spend more money? Don't I? So it's like you just enjoy it more, which I think is definitely the case for us. Like, I could not have made all the decisions and been like, do we want to add an extra $1,000 for a different type of flooring? I don't know, but thankfully we didn't have to. So, but even, without all of those decisions, it was still just a lot. And I don't know if it's because our process sort of got like extended out because we were waiting for construction to finish and like, so they couldn't do the final like appraisal until the construction was done. So we couldn't get our mortgage approved until the appraisal was done and all of that stuff. But like, it seemed like every week there was something else. It was like, okay, well, you need to set up your inspections, or, the mortgage company wants more information, or the mortgage company still wants more information, like stuff like that. And so like, it was a lot. It was a lot to do, and it was just very stressful, and I'm very glad that it's done, because now we actually get to enjoy it. And the Wesley is walking through the room and his shoes are squeaky, so you could probably hear him. What are you doing in here?
Looking for the tape measure.
I don't know where it got put. It's probably in the dining room.
Okay.
So we've now just been enjoying the house. So there's still been a lot to do. Like, even though it's like brand new, like it turns out there's still just a lot to do. Like I said, we had to put up these blinds on these windows because there were no blinds, and that's a little bit rough. Like, these are so far the only windows that have blinds in them because these are the bedroom windows, and so like that seemed important. But we didn't get internet until just a couple of days ago. Like, we went basically 10 days without any internet, which was sort of nice in a way. Like, it made me realize a lot of things kind of about myself, and it was nice to just at night, like, not have anything to do. Like, I could just relax, and it's like there was no chance of falling down like a YouTube rabbit hole or something like that. And like the day we got internet, like, of course I was like excited to like catch up on like YouTube subscriptions and stuff. And so I was like watching videos right up until the time I went to bed, and then I like couldn't fall asleep, and I slept horribly that first night. So it's like, okay, like that's a good lesson. And like, you need to not be watching videos like within an hour of going to bed. And like, you need to just relax before you go to bed. So yeah, so we've had, some DIY projects like that. We had to seal, still have to seal all of the tile and grout in the entire house. And so like, we've done the master bath, except I need to do the shower walls today. We've done one of the other bathrooms. One of the other bathrooms still needs to get done. I still need to do the grout in the kitchen. But like, that all still needs to get done. What else? I feel we had to get the washer and dryer installed. We basically had like a week where we didn't have a washer and dryer. That's finally here. So that's been really nice. Like, not having to do the communal laundry situation anymore. Cause like, I had my own washer and dryer when we lived in Richmond, and then moved here and we didn't at our apartment. And like, I hate that. I hate like using like communal washers and dryers because like, you just find like other people's like hair and like stuff in your clothes, and it's like, ugh. So that's been really nice to not have to do that anymore. It's been really nice to just like have more space. Like, it was really tough, like when we were living in the apartment before this, because like, you know, Wesley had been living there for basically a year without me. And so he had basically filled up the 1-bedroom apartment with all of his stuff, which is fine because he was living there. But then I also had the 1-bedroom apartment in Richmond that was full of my stuff. And then we didn't get a bigger place when I moved here. We just tried to cram 2 1-bedroom apartments full of stuff into one 1-bedroom apartment. And so it's really nice now to like just have a place for everything, and like everything can be put away, and that is really amazing. And so that's been really nice. Like, it's nice to just have rooms that are just empty and full of possibility. Like Wesley and I were just talking about that sort of between clips, like where do we want to put computers? Like, what do we want to do with things? So that's been really exciting. It's kind of strange that we can both be in the house and have no clue where the other person is. Like, I think I was counting it up, and like, if one of us is in the water closet in the master bath, which has its own door, that's super weird, but one of us can be in there, and if the other person is standing outside the garage door, there can be, I think, 5 or 6 doors closed between the two of us at one time, which is like, we've never had that before. Like, always living in 1-bedroom or even 2-bedroom apartments, it's like, if you can't see the other person, like, you know where they are, right? Like there's a limited number of places they can be. Versus here, it's like, I have no clue where he is right now. So that's kind of exciting. But yeah, so we have spent so much money too on like, just like things like blinds, like things that we didn't know we needed, and things that like you don't realize you need when you go from a small space to a big space. Like, we now have 3 bathrooms. So it was like, oh, like we now need to have hand soap and hand towels and extra toilet paper in every bathroom. Like, you know, we've never had that before. So we had to, you know, buy a lot of things in multiples now that we didn't have to do before. We've had to buy more plates and like bowls and stuff because now we have a dishwasher again that works. But like, we didn't have enough to fill up the dishwasher or to even make sense to use the dishwasher, because like we literally only had 2 of everything. So it was like, well, what point is the dishwasher? So now we've actually bought enough plates and bowls and things that we can actually fill up the dishwasher and make use of the efficiency of the dishwasher. So that's really nice. But yeah, it turns out buying a house is like really expensive, and it's not just like the expenses up front. It's like all the things that you have to buy to just go from a smaller space into a bigger space. So that's been really interesting, and like, I think it's slowing down. Like, I think now we're like at the point where it's like, okay, like we really should like wait on like more stuff. Which like we've sort of said, like, we're going to wait on buying new furniture at least until like, for sure until September, because like I said, we're going on a trip soon. And like, if we wait until September, we can hopefully hit like Labor Day sales. Plus like, we just don't know what we want. And so then it really makes sense for us to just wait until we know what we want. But yeah, I don't have like a house tour for you guys yet, and I don't want to do one today. Maybe I'll do one after we come back from our trip, and we're just like a little bit more settled in. Because yeah, like there are definitely still rooms that are completely empty, and there's rooms where it's like the formal dining room, which is what's probably going to become my crafty room, is basically empty, except it just has all of my like yarn and like sewing stuff like lined up along the wall. Like, that's it, but it's otherwise completely empty. So like, some rooms are very sad and very echoey at this point too, which is another reason why I'm recording in here, because this room at least has carpet. So hopefully it's not too echoey, but like, yeah, the rest of the house is like hardwood floors and lots of like hard surfaces and like no like softness to absorb any sound. So we actually had a bunch of people over yesterday, and it got very loud because it was just like so echoey and like not enough sound absorption. So yeah, that's been interesting too. But this is the most I think I've had to talk in a row in quite a while, so I am worn out. So I am going to bid you guys farewell for now. There will probably not be an episode next weekend because that sort of is getting close to our travel. Maybe I'll record a vlog because I don't know if I mentioned this. So we're going back up to Minnesota to see family, and also to go to the Minnesota State Fair. This is the first time we've been able to go in like, I don't know, 5-7 years, like quite a long time. So that's really exciting. Maybe I'll try and vlog it so you guys can see what that's like. Because like, if you've never like been to the Minnesota State Fair, like it is something else. Like it is just incredible. So I'll try and vlog that for you guys. But otherwise, there will probably be a normal episode up, hopefully in 2 weeks. We'll see. We'll see how that goes. But for now, thank you very much for hanging out with me, and I will see you guys all again next time. Bye.